Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Welcome back, Primetime viewers. Josh Ryan, Abby St. John. Another evening show for you. A bit of a break in between the rain we've gotten so far and we're about to get. But again, don't get your hopes up if you're expecting a really great couple of days to head out to the beach or whatever. There's trouble ahead potentially.
Yeah, there's some chances. It's definitely less so what I noticed than yesterday's chances, which is always good. You know, there's a lesser chance that this weekend is going to be rainy, but you know, there are still those chances.
For sure. And we definitely still have plenty to talk ahead on the show, including our question of the day. What's your favorite summertime dessert? We'll get to that later. First, let's go out to Eric Bay, who is on location today.
Thanks, guys. Well, today we are out here at the Lloydminster Cultural and Science Center. And I know we're kind of reaching that midway point of summer, so if your kids are looking for something else to get out and do, or maybe you just need them out of the house for a little bit after dealing with them here for a few weeks, we're going to be talking about some of these summer camps they do provide here. Coming up in August, there are 4 different camps that you can come out, check out, get your kids signed up for plenty of different ages. So we're going to be going through all of those and what they do have to offer. But before that, we're going to head back to the studio where Abby has a look at your local news.
Thanks, Eric. Well, the Lloydminster Exhibition Association held a rare gathering of all 3 levels of government for local residents to ask their representatives questions. The luncheon broached several topics focusing mainly on energy, rural crime, and the upcoming election. Josh Ryan has more.
As a first in his time as mayor, Gerald Albers was seated next to both MLAs and an MP at the same time, as the Lloydminster Chamber of Commerce held their first Connect with Your Elected Officials luncheon.
Certainly a good crowd today and a good cross-section of the business community from Lloydminster, members of the Chamber of Commerce.
I'm really grateful to the Chamber for this chance to chat with business owners and their employees about the priorities for them and for families and communities in the region.
Lots of stuff coming up with the October election and Garth with being newly elected and stuff, so it was a good cross-section of different elected members.
The session with MP Shannon Stubbs, MLAs Colleen Young and Garth Rosewell, and Mayor Albers provided an opportunity not only for people working in industries like construction to ask questions, but more information to take back to Parliament and the legislature.
Answered all the questions out there. Some of the questions the answers were long-winded, so we didn't get as many questions in as we like, but now we have some time to ask them personally, and it was a great forum.
There's so many areas, and I'm not an expert on them. So we need guidance from these people, and I look forward to getting that from them for sure.
Several issues were discussed, including strategies for reducing rural crime and the challenge facing aging citizens. However, the main topic throughout was energy.
I think that we need to have a very serious and strong debate and discussion and ensure that all the facts come out. And I know the government of Alberta is looking at doing some things that way.
Going forward in the future with some of the impositions that our federal government currently has placed on the province of both Alberta and Saskatchewan.
Despite confidence in the direction of both provinces, there was a specific emphasis on the importance of the election results this October.
Canadians and families and businesses to get ahead. They're struggling to just get by right now. And so what I am very concerned about is that if the Liberals are re-elected, they will just make costs go higher. They will just increase taxes. They'll continue to make life more difficult for Canadians.
It's a very important time this October for people to get out and vote, and some of our elected officials today stress that point even further.
Josh Ryan, Primetime Local News.
For Lloydminster, 2019 has been one of the biggest years for fires, with firefighters attending over 150 calls since January.
I believe we're at par with what previous years are going. We are up 9.3% from last year so far in the second quarter, so we are increasing, but we're pretty well at par. By the end of the year, we should be at par with what we're continually doing.
In Lloydminster, the most common types of fires are structural and are preventable.
The grease fires or the hot oil fires, again, being aware of how to put that out. You put a cup of water on a grease fire and it will expand and it will get bigger. So again, using a wet towel or putting a lid on it is what they used to say.
If you end up finding yourself in a heated situation, make sure to follow these steps.
Please call 911. And please get out of your house, have an escape plan. The fire theme this year is for Fire Prevention Week is to have an escape plan in your house. Have a meeting point outside for your kids, for your family, and making sure once you're out, you stay out and let the fire department do their work when we arrive.
Running and biking is a common and inclusive way to raise money for charitable causes. However, the distance traveled to spread awareness, it's its own challenge. As our Tegan Gieselbrecht reports, students from the University of Texas are biking through 2 countries to gain more support for cancer research and support systems.
The only way that we beat cancer is if we work together.
Yesterday at the Lloyd Comp, students from the University of Texas were putting down their kickstands and making their beds for the night. They are a part of the Texas 4000, a bike ride that spans 4,000 miles or just under 6,500 kilometers to raise money for cancer research and support systems.
A lot of us have been touched personally by cancer in our lives through like family, friends, and what I've seen really throughout this journey is that most people know someone who has been affected by cancer. It's just so widespread and nationwide, as we found going through the United States and now through Canada.
The organization has 83 bikers in total, which are split into 3 groups. This group consists of 25 bikers that, because of their more eastern route, will bike nearly 5,000 miles. Although the numbers are big, stopping and talking to communities is very important to them.
Us engaging with community, that's like the number one thing that we're doing like along this trip. Like, yes, we're fundraising for cancer research and support systems, but we also want to touch communities that we visit, both like trying to inspire them to either like maybe change something in their lifestyle to like prevent cancer.
The bikers may be in good shape following 18 months of training, but that doesn't mean that the ride is a smooth one.
I think the hardest part is probably like the weather. The weather can be super unpredictable. So we got rained on today. Yesterday we were fighting against these crazy headwinds and they slowed down our pace about half of what we normally do. And so you just really don't know what you're going to get.
I think the hardest part, I don't know a lot about like mechanics, and so whenever like my bike is having issues or someone else's bike is having issues, learning how to do all that, I'm not one with my hands, I guess, and so having to figure out how to like fix bikes and fix the trailer and having like certain mechanical issues like that, I think that for me at least has been challenging.
The ride is expected to wrap up next month in Alaska. Tegan Gieselbrecht, Primetime Local News.
The question about rabies in Canada has been raised after a 21-year-old died from the virus after he swatted a bat away. Knowing the signs of rabies and knowing how to protect yourselves and your pets is vital to avoid being affected. Rabies is a virus that is transferred through saliva and affects the nervous system of mammals and is almost always fatal. The most common carriers of rabies is skunks, bats, and raccoons.
Any amount of little tiny nick, any little tiny bite can be enough saliva to get into your system and cause rabies.
The most common sign that an animal may have rabies is change in behavior. It can cause them to either become aggressive or make them lose their fight or flight response.
If an animal is typically runs away from you and then suddenly is like coming after you, so getting more aggressive, or the dumb or friendly form of rabies where typically, again, a wild animal should run away from you, but all of a sudden you're driving down the road and you see a skunk or an animal that typically should be afraid of that vehicle and now just kind of is just plodding along like unaware or unconcerned.
If you or your pet gets bitten by a wild animal, get immediately checked out. Now we're going to Eric Bay, who was on location today.
Once again, we are back here at the Lloydminster Cultural and Science Center, and we're talking about their summer camps they do have coming up here next month, and Cindy Rekhamowicz joins me now. And now the first camp is actually a science camp out of the 3, so can you tell us what the kids will be doing for that one?
So yeah, the first camp is Mad Scientist. It's from August 6th to 9th, so it's great for those junior scientists that want to explore, learn more about science. We have 4 different themes throughout the week. They learn about chemistry, technology, dinosaurs, weather, so just a variety of games, science experiments and that kind of thing, and then they'll do some crafts as well, so great for those little miniature scientists.
And now for your next camp, you do have Time Travelers, so can you tell us what that's about? I assume something to do with history?
Yeah, exactly. So that's a great camp. It's August 12th to 16th at the Cultural Center as well. So we have different themes throughout the week. The kids are going to have the opportunity to interact with some of our volunteers from the Heritage Society. They're going to learn about butter making and bread making and some of that kind of stuff. So that's exciting. Other things, the Pioneer Games, they'll do medieval, pirates, Wild West. So just every day is a different theme, and they'll get to play games and crafts all around those themes.
All right, perfect. Thank you for this. We'll talk to you again about the last camp here in the next couple minutes interview. But before that, we are going to head back to the studio.
Fortunately, we have a little bit of that sun still in the border city. 22 degrees, some clouds making their way through, and that mixed reception should make its way over the next couple of hours as well. Your records, 2002, 33 degrees. 2002 has been a weird year popping up for both our highs and lows on the record books. 6 back in 1987. That wasn't a particularly nice July 17th, no sir. Next here, our satellite and radar shows another low pressure system making its way from the west. So that should get into Edmonton over the next couple of hours and could be coming in through the Lakeland region overnight, though the worst of it should make its way north of Lloydminster. Some cloud cover still in the Battlefords and Maidstone area, though it is starting to disperse over the last couple of hours. Now, a few current temperatures here across the main regions of Saskatchewan and Alberta. 18 in Red Deer, 17 out in Edson, and 18 out in Jasper in the mountains, 15 in Whitecourt, then in Saskatchewan, 19 in both Prince Albert and in Melfort. 23 degrees, holding strong in Saskatoon, while Meadow Lake's just a couple of degrees cooler, as is North Battleford. 17 tomorrow, with a strong chance of rain once again, with wind coming out of the south-southwest, with a low of 13 degrees there. So still relatively warm evenings, or at least seasonal average lows. Then 19 and 12 on Friday, where there's a 25% chance of precipitation, but a fair amount of cloud cover expected. Then 22 and 11 on Saturday. Mix of sun and cloud there, still a 40% chance of some showers coming down. The wind, though, starting to calm down by then, as we'll drop to the mid to low teens in terms of wind speeds to about 7 or 8 kilometers per hour coming out of the northwest, so a good sign there. Not necessarily the case through the rest of the 7 days. We'll have a look at that for you later on in the show.
Welcome back. Well, about 20 protesters gathered outside Alberta Premier Jason Kenney's office to call for an end to chuck wagon races at the Calgary Stampede. The protest was organized by the animal rights group PETA, which wants Kenney to immediately direct the Stampede to ban all races to prevent more horses from dying in what is said are cruel and inhumane spectacles. The call comes after 6 horses died during the chuck wagon races at this year's Stampede, bringing the total to more than 70 since 1986. Kenney's office declined comment, but Alberta Agriculture issued a statement to 660 News saying it's confident a review of the deaths by the Stampede will address how best to implement measures to improve safety and animal care. And now we're going to take a look at your egg prices.
We're a part of less than 5% of Canadian auto body shops and Lloydminster's only locations with certified collision care recognition at City Centre Auto Body.
1 year after the formation of a new disc golf course in Maidstone, the town hosted its first ever tournament. Disc golfers from across the Lakeland region this past weekend came out to get their hands on the prize and do their part in helping expand the sport. Our Josh Park has more.
A unique sport in its own way. Yes, it's 18 holes, and yes, the lesser the strokes, the better, but instead of golf balls and holes, it's discs and baskets. Disc golf has slowly begun to grow and expand across the world, and Canada is no different. Maidstone, Saskatchewan is one town that has bought into the sport and is doing their part to try and grow the game. This time, through a local tournament.
It's our first annual tournament. We actually just put the course in last year, and we're starting to build a bit of a following around here, but we want to get more people out and checking it out. So we thought, what better than have a tournament, get some locals and get some people from other towns to come check it out.
The first ever tournament saw around 15 participants from across the Midwest region with split men's and women's divisions over the 2 days. But what is it about the unique sport that's attracting more players each season? Well, according to Donovan, the simplicity of the game is also its biggest draw.
It's easy to learn. Like, it doesn't take too long once you play it around. Like you say, you start to get hooked. You see, okay, I think I could actually do this.
Although courses like the Maidstone track are far and few between, when you do come across one, most of the time it's free. That, combined with the low startup cost, create for a practical hobby.
The nice thing about it is most of the courses are free because they're on public parks, and to get set up, it's really cheap. Like $40, you can have a starter set, and that's all you really need.
Of course, with it being a tournament, there had to be a winner. In the first ever event, it was Clayton Hines taking home first place, and tomorrow we'll take a look at what got him hooked on the sport and what he loves so much about the game. Josh Park, Primetime Local Sports.
Now we're going to Eric Bay, who was on location today.
Once again, we are back here at the Lloydminster Cultural and Science Center, where we've been talking about their summer camps here going on over August, and Cindy Rekimowicz joins me once again. And now we didn't get to the last camp that you guys will be putting on, so can you tell us about that art camp?
Our last camp is August 19th to 23rd. It's Artrageous, so it's going to touch on a lot of art mediums that the kids can try. It will be art focused. They'll do some nail art, they'll do some pour painting, some stepping stones, just a variety of art. They'll also play games and be outdoors a bit too and explore the cultural center, so great for anyone.
No, definitely all three camps sure sound like a lot of fun. So how can people sign up for those camps if they do want to be a part of them?
You can go online to our City of Lloydminster website and go to our programs, lloydminster.ca/register, and you can find out information on all our programs. These programs are for 4 to 5 year olds, 6 to 7, 8 to 9, and 10 and 11 year olds, so you can pick your age group. It runs the camps run from 8:30 to 4, so you can register for the weeks in each age group. We also offer before and after care, so there is before care that you can pay extra for, and after care, so if you're a working mom and need longer hours, that opportunity is there as well.
And now we were talking a little bit off camera too about the fact that there is also a day option or also the whole week. So can you tell us about the difference between those two?
Absolutely. You can register now for the whole week. If the camps don't fill up, we do offer the Friday before the camp. We offer that you can register for one day that week if the space allows.
All right, perfect. And now what's the response been like so far from parents? How's the sign up being? And if so, again, how can people just get out there, come out and sign up?
Sign-up's been good. Our camps have been about 75% full, depending on the age group. The middle age groups are really full. So, yeah, you can just go online and register. If you have any questions, you can go to the Silver Sports Center, Lloydminster Cultural Science Center, or the pool, and we can help you out.
All right, thank you so much once again for doing this. We're going to have some more back from here at the Lloydminster and Cultural and Science Center. Again, talking about those camps you can check out in August if your kid is still looking for something to do. But before that, we're going to head back into the studio.
Thank you, eBay, from earlier. Now, watches and warnings, we did have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect earlier in the week. We were expecting basically 3 straight days of heavy rainfall, maybe thunder showers. Instead, relatively clear on the map in both Alberta and Saskatchewan. So that's good news. There's a chance, of course, of showers coming up still in the next 2 days, but at the moment, certainly not the amount of danger we thought we were in initially. Next 24 hours, not cooling down till really about 4 or 5 in the morning, where we'll get to a low 13, right back up into the 20s tomorrow, or at least the low or the high teens, 16 by about 1 p.m. in the afternoon, and it'll hang around that temperature through most of the day. Of course, when you have heavy cloud cover as well as rainfall, expect a slight drop in temperature. 22 degrees in Vermilion and in St. Paul, 23 in Vegreville and Edmonton, as well as up in Lac La Biche. On the Sask side, 22 in Meadow Lake, 21 in Green Lake, 20 in St. Walburg, and 20 out in North Battleford. A little bit further south you get warmer at 23 degrees for both Provost and in Macklin Wainwright, also sitting pretty at 24 degrees. 20 right now in North Battleford, again with easterly winds just a couple of kilometers per per hour at the moment. A low of 13 overnight. That wind will start to pick up and should get into the mid-teens, maybe have some stronger gusts of 20 to 30 kilometers tomorrow, where they're expecting a high of 18 and some rainfall, maybe even a chance of thunder showers. Keep an eye on that in the Battlefords. 23 right now in Cold Lake with south-southwest winds. Easterly winds overnight, and that will maintain through to tomorrow. A low of 13, then a high tomorrow of 18, and plenty of cloud cover, and rain is expected sometime tonight and should continue on and off throughout the next 30 or so hours afterwards. In Lloydminster, 22 degrees, the sun still peeking out amidst the clouds as we have wind from the south that will start to shift to the southeast, then the southwest by tomorrow. Again, same situation as in Cold Lake, where we're expecting rainfall, cloud cover, maybe even some thunder as well, and then that should continue on through tomorrow, though we're not expecting as many millimeters to hit the ground by then. A high of 17 for the afternoon, and the wind will also pick up a little bit, getting into the teens out of the southwest. 19 on Friday with a low of 12, then 22 on Saturday with a low of 11. Here's where things start to pick up in terms of temperatures, and that actually looks like a nice week of summer weather in July. 24 on Sunday with a low of 11, then 26 Monday, 28 Tuesday, and a very warm Wednesday expected, 26 and a low of 16 degrees. Some outside chances of precipitation here or there, but largely sunny skies with a mix of clouds, and the wind not getting faster than 15 kilometers per hour.
Now we're going to Eric Bay, who was on location today.
Once again, we are back here at the Lloydminster Cultural and Science Center, where we've been talking about their summer programs. They have a few different ones coming up here over the next month, and I'm joined now by Natalie, and we're going to be talking about the ClickBits, tech camp that is coming up here at the end of August. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
So the ClickBits camp is a new program that the Lloydminster Cultural and Science Center has brought in. It's a company that specializes in technology education to children. So it's half-day camps. The morning is the younger children, the afternoon is the older youth. And what they learn is they learn about broad concepts, recycling, the environment, and they get to also interact with various different forms of technology. So they get to learn about computer graphics. They get to make their own stickers through a printer, like a special sticker printer, a 3D printer. And with their registration, they also get a backpack that they can actually program that basically makes it so that they can interact with the ClickBits interface at home. And that's sort of a 3-day lead up to back to school.
All right, perfect. And now, you mentioned that lead up to back to school. So when actually is the camp taking place in, and how can people get signed up for that?
So it's the last week of August, and they can register either online through the City of Lloydminster website, or they can call the Cultural and Science Center and over the phone or in person at the front desk.
And you did mention that there's a couple different age groups involved. So what are those age groups, and is there any real difference between the camps, or just the difference in the kids' ages?
Basically, it depends on the complexity of the instruction, depending on the age group.
All right, perfect. And now, if people do want some more information on the camps or anything else you guys do have coming up here at the LCSC, how can people get information on that as well?
Yep, they can go to the City of Lloydminster website and look for the Cultural and Science Center's information, and they can also call the front desk for more information.
All right, thank you for this. We're going to have some more back from here at the Lloydminster Cultural and Science Center, talking about the summer camps they do have coming up here later on in August. But before we get to that, we're going to head it back into the studio.
Today's question of the day, a nice day for it. When you have a warm, hot afternoon, you want something cool, most likely sweet. So what is your favorite summertime dessert? Now, Dee Dee Quinney on Twitter says that her favorite is triple chocolate brownie. As a chocolate lover, I can certainly equate to that. You also have a favorite dessert from Dairy Queen.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of blizzards, which is kind of a weird thing to say speaking of Dairy Queen, but I've never really been a huge fan of blizzards, but my go-to is always the peanut butter parfait, or if I want a smaller version, then I just get the hot fudge sundae and add peanuts, basically.
And that's something that a lot of people who go to Blizzard, or DQ rather, just to get a blizzard, they miss out on some of the other good desserts, like the parfait.
Oh yeah, it's so simple, yet it's so good, because you have the vanilla ice cream, you have the hot fudge, and you have the peanuts. It's very good, unless you're allergic to peanuts, of course.
that of course would be a deadly combination. For everyone else, it's great. And for everyone, regardless of allergies, this next segment is great. Pet of the Day. And we have another great group of pets ahead. A duo here with Lewis and Thor, submitted by Tori to start things off.
Very adorable duo. I love French bulldogs, and they're so tiny, but they're so cute.
And they look like they're out on like an English countryside.
Yeah.
Next here, Nessie and Wilson, another duo.
Aw, I bet they're best friends. They look so cute, and I love their names. I love how the cat's just looking up at the camera, and the dog is just
out.
Doesn't have a care in the world.
Yeah, typical dog and cat dynamic there. Speaking of cats, Bobblehead.
Aw, I love the way he is positioned and sitting or laying down. It's very, very cute.
Indeed it is. Thank you, Katie, for that submission. Glitterati, not the average cat name, but
Yeah,
certainly
it's definitely
for a unique cat.
It's definitely original, but a very, very adorable cat to match.
Peeking out for some reason. And Ebony, I believe that's out on a boat as well. So Valerie, thank you.
Very, very adorable. Just snuggled up. Very cute.
And don't forget, folks, anytime you submit the name of your pet plus the picture, you can win a free gift card from PetPad.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the PetPad.
Here in the Primetime Local News studio, I have with me driver BJ Carey, along with, of course, our Greg Buchanan, who's also the voice of the CPCA via radio. Busy week for you guys, particularly for you, BJ. I imagine you're still a little jet-lagged after just getting in yesterday.
Yeah, you betcha. It's a long 10 days. It's truly the marathon of the season.
Yeah, and so let's go to you, Bucky, to start with sort of the general competitive side first of all with the Stampede. Increased number of CPCA drivers there this year, as well as a couple of demo drivers making their debut, such as Dale Mitswing. What were your main takeaways on the CPCA specific side of things with the race?
Tremendous results. 8 of the 10 drivers cracking the top 25. You have 10 nights of racing. CPCA drivers had 10 drivers competing there, and out of those 10, 5 one-day monies. So that's very good. Our 2 demo drivers did a fantastic job too. And we're hoping that down the road they're going to get into the Calgary Stampede too. So showing that the Calgary Stampede, and of course it's the upper echelon of chuck wagon racing, the best in the sport is there, and the CPC did very, very good.
And for BJ, I know you were there as well. How did you feel about your performance?
I mean, going into Stampede, we had a pile of wet runs, rainy, muddy runs, so horses are going to feel that. And it's like us walking in rubber boots. They get muscle sore. So going in there, I had to run some new horses that haven't been to Stampede before, and I had a slow first 5 days. First 4 days. My last 6 days, I was very happy. Got some of the seasoned horses back, and I think it showed in the last 6 days. A second day money, a 5th day money. It felt good. I finished 12th in aggregate. I'm happy with that, with going in there with what I had. It was a great 10 days.
And one of the highlights, I'm sure, for many CPCA fans was seeing Ray Mitswing win a day money. Obviously, it's his last Stampede. So what was that like?
You know what? Yeah, 36 years, consecutive years at the Calgary Stampede, and to see Ray win a day money that Friday night, that was pretty special. And then on top of that, the send-off they gave to Ray on that final night on Sunday, it's special. You know what? Chuck wagon means a lot to Ray Mitswing, and Ray Mitswing means a lot to chuck wagon racing. So it's great to see on that biggest stage in the sport that Ray gets what he deserves, and that's a great send-off.
I guess it's going to be weird for you not racing against him again next year.
Yeah, I mean, Ray is an icon of chuck wagon racing. 7 Canadian championships, so I believe he holds the record with us. He's a great guy to drive with on the track. He's very courteous. He's a competitor. I love the competition, so honestly, my first day money was with Ray on the track. He was off a 2-barrel, I was on 1, so I have lots of great memories racing against Ray. And 65, he's a guy that don't look 65. He's a guy that looks like he could keep going, but that rule is there because there are some that 65 is time to pack her in.
And really quickly, with a few seconds here, of course, his son had a memorable rookie season last year. Didn't race as a competitor in the Stampede this year, but expect to see him continue on that Mitswing legacy, probably?
For sure, yeah. And Devin will be back too, I'm sure. There'll be a couple of them going, and yeah, they'll be in Calgary for sure one day. With the invite system, it's just a matter of when they get that call.
And of course, we'll get that chance to see if he'll continue to earn that invite going into next year, as there's only a couple of weeks left of the CPCA season.
Hey, it's Justin Marshall from Cool 101.3 in Bonnyville and Boom 95.3 in Cold Lake. And here's what's happening around the Lakeland. Well, we're at the Cold Lake Tennis Courts where they're doing free lessons. Cold Lake Tennis Club teaming up. Boom953.ca is where you get more information. Mondays and Thursdays, Tracy Gagne joins me from the club. Why'd you guys decide to do this?
Well, we decided to run tennis lessons for free because we want to encourage people to use the courts, enjoy the courts, and to learn about tennis. Tennis is new to the area because the courts have not been in very good condition, and they've just been refurbished, thank you to the City of Cold Lake, and our brand new windscreens up. So we want people to learn where the court is because, first of all, it's kind of hidden away, and we want you to come out and just enjoy. So we're providing free lessons. We've got volunteers doing youth lessons for the kids on Mondays from 6 to 7, and we have another volunteer doing adult lessons and beginner lessons on Thursdays from 6 to 7 p.m.
It's at the Ivan Crook Memorial Park here, and we got to try and avoid balls are coming flying.
Exactly, no kidding. So just be prepared to duck. So that's all good, though. They're learning, so they're learning. That's a good thing, right? So yeah, it's been great.
How much interest have you got?
Our interest actually over the last couple of weeks has astounded me. I'm actually quite surprised. We've been getting lots of emails on, yeah, I'd like to take lessons or I'd like to participate. We actually even have some people that are higher levels coming from one lady from Singapore. So it's great. She's here for a while. So yeah, we're getting really good here with our lessons and our interest.
Well, tennis definitely booming in Cold Lake. Tracy, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming, and hopefully we'll see you out here again.
And if you have an event you would like to feature on What's Happening, please email me, jmarshall@stingray.com.
Back in studio with BJ Carey and Greg Buchanan. On a less positive note, we continue our talking about the Stampede, where unfortunately 6 horses died over the course of the competition. That has obviously dominated the news in the bigger centers in Alberta. What has that been like in terms of experiencing, fielding the calls, and experiencing it as a driver who obviously has horses of his own?
Well, I mean, they're accidents. There's probably a better chance of us driving downtown and getting hit by a car than a horse having a heart attack or a horse breaking a leg. Every athlete, whether you're a hockey player, football player, they all have injuries. If we knew that a horse was going to have a heart attack, or if we knew that we were going to break a leg doing something, we probably wouldn't do it. These horses, we can't tell that. So when something like that happens, it's an accident, and we take utmost care of these horses. They're family to us. So if we knew that they're going to go out there and break a leg, that horse wouldn't be going, because that's like losing a family member to us. It's terrible. It's not good for the sport, but accidents do happen, and we just got to carry on and keep caring for these animals the way we have in the past, and the way that we're going to do it going forward.
Given some of the outrage from animal rights groups and stuff that are calling for, obviously some are calling for the sport to be disbanded, others are simply calling for different safety measures. Are there any safety measures that you're looking at that could be in place that could have reduced, obviously the main crash was because of driver error, but are there other safety measures that could reduce, such as maybe changing on the guardrails, things like that?
Hindsight's 2020. Ray Crotto Jr. had an interview with Sportsnet, I believe, and he had a great idea on there, and that's leaving those dogs up that we ran with the first 4 days. They're about 5 feet off the rail, leaving that as a safety net. So if something like that, if something does get tight, you can pull into those dogs and you have that safety net. I like that idea. I mean, the dogs up there, yeah, you're making the track a little longer, but you have that safety net. There is that, if you have something getting tight, you can move over into them. Those dogs are basically plastic pylons. They aren't going to hurt the horses. They aren't going to hurt the wagon. They aren't going to upset a wagon. That's a great idea. I mean, anybody that is calling to ban the sport, you're taking all these horses off the racetrack and you're putting them into a meat plant, or you're taking them you're taking them out of what they're bred to do. It would be like taking us out of that workforce and putting us in a locked room, basically, is the way I see it. Anybody that thinks that they aren't looked after, come to my barn. Come to somebody else's barn and see how they're looked after. These horses are cared for second to none.
And speaking of which, I'm sure you're caring for your horses heading into the last couple weeks of the season. We'll try to end on this, Greg Buchanan. We have a couple of stops left on the CPCA Tour. And of course, you have your top three of Todd Baptiste, Dale Midswing, and Brad McMahon. He's had a really great season. What do you see going forward in the next couple of weeks? What are a couple of stops you're looking forward to? What are a couple of drivers that are?
Well, you got Little Pine, Poundmaker, Frog Lake, Turtleford, and the Lloyd Final. So that's the next number of shows here. Little Pine's a longer track, so somewhat similar to what we were racing at the Calgary Stampede. I think one guy that's kind of the outside of that top three right now is a great story, and we talked about the earlier, is Ray Midswing. He's 65 years of age. He wants to come back and he wants to win, and BJ knows him very well. That just because he's 65 doesn't mean that he doesn't want to win another championship. So look for Ray to make a real good run to win championship number 8.
And if you guys had to pick one wild horse youngster that might pop up still late in the season, we've seen some good performances, less than 30 seconds here. What's somebody we should watch for the next 2 weeks?
Danny Ringette.
Yep. Yeah, I would say the same thing.
He's going to be tough going forward. DJ King. The top 10 is going to be, it's still a wild card. There's top 10, there's 40 points apart. So it'll be interesting these last 5 shows. It'll be a great second half.
Yeah. And you'll have a chance to watch that second half, again, heading into the CPCA finals, which are here in Lloydminster in mid-August.
Once again, we are back here at the Lloydminster Cultural and Science Center, and we've been talking about the summer camps they do have going on here. Coming up in August, now there's a ton of different stuff to check out, and it doesn't matter if you can't make it for the whole week of each of these camps. There's the chance to do some of those day programs as well, as there'll be tons of different stuff each and every day, so you won't be missing too much. There's also the chance too, if maybe you do need to drop your kid off a little earlier or pick up a little later to go around work, there's the chance as well to have that before and after childcare. You can sign up for that again, and that again will just cost you a little extra, but your kids will definitely have a good time, be looked after while you're away. Again, we did mention the 4 different camps. There's the science, there's the art camp, the time travelers, and also that tech camp to wrap up the summer, so it'll be a ton of stuff to check out. But that's all we have from here tonight. So now we'll go back to the studio where Josh and Abby are going to wrap up tonight's newscast.